To pray, there's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. Now, before I do begin, I'm sorry that I have not uploaded today. It has been a bit busy, it's been a bit loud, and I believe I finally found some time to record. So let us begin. Whenever we last left off, we had just found out that Superman is not Superman. In fact, he's not even supposed to be a good guy. Whatever this thing was, it has taken on his name. And it clearly works for Darkseid. Along with that, back down on Earth, with Hal Jordan in Coast City, he was being overwhelmed and attacked by people who were specced out with this Superman technology, meaning that they are under Darkseid's control. Now, along with that, he was basically being overtaken and overrun. He is basically outnumbered 10,000 to 15,000 to 1. The suits they are wearing provide them the ability to fly, super strength, and super speed. Meaning that even though he has the power advantage, they have the number advantage. Now, let's cut back over to the Watchtower. They have just gotten Steel's origin story, if you can call it that, and his identity in his name. But before they can even continue, they would get a warning about what is happening. All the major cities are being attacked. You have Gotham, Metropolis, Coast City, Aquaman's city, I don't remember its name, Diana's, New York, and even Washington. All the major capitals of the world are being attacked, along with boom tombs opening up around their planet. Parademons coming through, which means that the Justice League is going to have to split up, along with the Teen Titans and the Young Justice members. All the major superhero teams are going to have to try and help. Along with that, Batman is beginning to track down Superman, or this version of him. They will begin to look around. Batman typing on the computer a few odd things. Midoriya asking exactly what he's going to do. Him explaining that whenever Superman flies, he leaves behind an abnormal path. And it's how he tracked him down and found out Clark Kent was Superman in the first place. Midoriya just asking exactly what does that matter, as you would get a similar flight pattern for the cyborg Superman. He is currently down in Coast City, meaning that they are going on a road trip. Everyone getting over to the teleporters and leaving. Cyborg staying on the Watchtower to monitor things, in case what happened last time happens again. Now, let us cut over to Coast City. We have Hal Jordan being overrun and nearly taken down. Him encasing himself in a bubble and expanding its radius, trying to take off into the air before more people just smash down on it, punching into it and trying to take him down. Him repairing the construct and trying again. He doesn't want to hurt these people. Some of them are his friends, and other people he's at least met before. As you do have Midoriya come in, along with Jiro. They would both come in and immediately begin to fly through everyone. Midoriya basically making a giant vacuum as he begins to suck everyone upwards into the air and contain them. Midoriya using quite a lot of his power to try and make sure that he can keep them inside of it, for Hal Jordan to escape. Along with that, Batman would just begin by throwing out a canister. it being knockout gas. As soon as it gets airborne and deploys, nothing would happen. So that at least gets away with one of his ideas. These people, they aren't recruited by Darkseid. This must be the tech's doing. Midoriya actually gets a bit angry and filled with rage. These people aren't in control of their actions, and they're being forced to do whatever that man pleases. Midoriya is doing one thing, throwing out his hands and coursing his power with shame and rage, along with his willpower, his fear, and his love. He throws this all out there and creates constructs strong enough to hold everyone in place. As chains go flying outwards, they need to wrap around them. Whenever it does wrap around someone, it would begin to pull them all forwards, basically putting them into a giant pile. Midoriya is saying that he can go around and capture everyone, at least try to keep them contained. His eyes coursing with each color of the color spectrum he has, telling Batman and Green Lantern to try and find out what's going on. Cyborg Superman is in, well, the city. How? You need to take care of him, okay? Remember, that's not Superman, no matter how much you believe it to be. Go all out against him. Now, they would begin to look around and try and find a place for this Cyborg Superman, tracking him back to a warehouse. Midoriya and Gio are currently working on getting everyone contained, flying around the city and taking them all down, capturing them and putting them inside this bubble. As Midoriya's power is beginning to get a little strange. It's beginning to start having strain on it. And he's asking Cyborg if he found a way to take them down yet. Him just saying that he's found one. But can you stay powered up long enough to keep them contained? Midoriya just saying that he can try as long as he's got. Now, just do it. As Cyborg picks up on a signal and activates what he's doing. This at least being able to release some of the people from the control. As everyone inside the bubble starts to be released from it. Midoriya asking Cyborg what did he do. Cyborg explained that he's been picking up strange readings from all around the planet. Some of them are boom tubes. Others are a strange signal. Each one of them being different. The signal must mean that it's controlling everyone. And Darkseid is getting clever. Instead of putting it all on one mass relay, he put it through multiples, meaning that he has to go every individual one and disable them. Now, with that being said, he would connect comms up to the Teen Titans, the Justice League, and every team on Earth, along with pitching it through every major city. That if whoever they are, they need to either run or stay away from people affected by Superman technology. It is what is causing this. This being broadcasted around the entire Earth, along with other people trying to help out. Right now, this is a war for the planet they live on. There are no heroes, there are no villains, only fighters. As the world would descend into a bit of madness for a little while. People breaking into things and doing whatever they can to try and help. You have regular people who try and use their quirks to save people and try to help out. Like Cyborg has said, there's no heroes right now. There is just what you need to do in order to save people. A lot of heroes with quirks being taken down pretty fast. Except for certain exceptions. Whenever they do have a strength-based quirk or a speed-based quirk, they are at least able to put up a better fight. However, with backup, they can take down at least one of these people. But an entire army, they cannot. Now, let us cut back to Coast City. Green Lantern and Batman have made their way into this building. And he's actually looking around. Both of them are. This doesn't seem right. The building is covered and coated in strange technology. In fact, it doesn't even seem to be here, let alone end anywhere. As Cyborg Superman come barreling in, and immediately just collide with Hal Jordan. They're going to throw out a punch as he brings up a construct. Superman smashing into it, and Hal Jordan being sent flying. Cyborg Superman going after him, along with basically smacking Batman across the face. This man is only human, meaning he cannot do much. Thinking that Batman is out and down for the count with that single hit. As he begins to fight with this man. Now, Hal Jordan, after being thrown through a couple buildings, would have gotten back up and begin to show why he's the greatest Green Lantern. Him creating a bunch of constructs and beginning to try and fight with Cyborg Superman. The two going back and forth over and over and over again. Hal Jordan blasting whatever military technology he can create, and even think of, along with actually setting out a massive blast of willpower, directly at him, as he can hear his ring go down. Willpower at 92%. Hal Jordan just letting out the blast more and more. Willpower at 85%, and dropping fast. As he at least thinks that he needs this power. His own body beginning to course and coat with willpower. As he just tells this imposter that he's fought Superman before, and he knows when he's holding back. So, are you just that weak, or are you just actually pretending to be him? Now, this would anger Cyborg Superman, as he would just run forward saying that Superman once failed to save him and his wife, and look what happened. Now he's in his place. Cocking his arm backwards and going to throw a large punch, as a rocket would come in, immediately just smashing Cyborg Superman directly into the guts. Now, that would be whenever you have Kyle Rayner. He has come in to try and help with the situation. But there's one more thing. While these two are fighting Cyborg Superman, one other person is here. And Batman has gotten back up, asking what is going on with the situation outside. Midoriya and Jill are flying towards the building, telling Batman that they've taken down quite a lot of the people controls. And they believe that local heroes can at least handle the rest. There are only a few stragglers. From what Cyborg said, he's still scrambling their signal and getting them taken care of. Now, with that, Batman would just say that that's good. They're gonna howl and they're gonna need help with that imposter. As he gets back up, someone walking towards him. As you have Mongol. Him just saying that is quite impressive. A mere human standing back up after a hit like that. Batman just looking over and seeing the man. As Midoriya and Jiro would come bursting into the room. Midoriya throwing up his hands and beginning to tell Mongol that he needs to put his hands up. Or is he friend or foe? Mongol is looking at him and throwing up his hand. And blasting out multiple Yellow Lantern rings. Midoriya just confused, as he throws up his shield and blocks the blast. Asking exactly who is he. him just saying that he is Mongol, and that he is a planetary conqueror. In fact, your planet here is very nice, although it is also disgusting. It is peaceful. It does show signs of chaos, the beauty in it. Even then, it still isn't what it could be. As you just run forwards, at an alarming speed, throwing his hand backwards and immediately throwing it forward, smashing it straight through Midoriya's construct, sending him flying. Jiro throwing out her hand and trying to blast him with rage. This is bouncing off of him, as he would just go on saying that their little toys aren't anything to be impressed by. Besides, they aren't even using it properly. Going to grab her by her arm, before she just creates a construct of a gauntlet, throwing it backwards and throwing it forwards. And Mongol just catching it, before just pushing it back towards her. Midoriya flying back in, as he just tells Mongol that this isn't anything to be proud of. Throwing his arm backwards and throwing it forwards, smashing it with as much emotion as he can, telling him that the world is supposed to be beautiful. Mongol actually being sent flying away, as Midoriya would just fly after him. Jiro doing the same. Meanwhile, Batman is left there, as he begins to try and move throughout the room, and find out exactly what he needs to do. Apparently this place is going to be converted into this planetoid, or the War Worlds, meaning that they don't have a lot of time, as we have Deku and Jiro going back and forth and fighting against Mongol. Midoriya just throwing out as much force as he can with every single punch. He's throwing out willpower and rage, along with his own fear. Mongol, he would do one thing though. Using his own rings, and he would just throw his hands up, blasting with fear. Midoriya creating shields, and just beginning to just throw these away with every single time he can. His ability to instill fear must be greater than Midoriya's own, meaning that the yellow ring is his weakest. That's good. But it's also bad, as Midoriya would just run forwards, his eyes cutting with rage, telling Mongol that Superman is dead, but that doesn't mean he can't try and be better, or just as good. As he throws his arms upwards and creates constructs for his arms. As soon as he goes to throw them outwards, he smashes Mongol across the face, him actually taking a step backwards as Midoriya throws it as their arm. He's using shame and rage, along with willpower, and his love for this planet, saying that everyone in the city, as he smashes him across the face, sending him flying, telling Mongol everyone here is innocent. None of them want or even have anything to do with you. So what do you plan on doing here? Mongol getting back up, and actually cracking his knuckles, running forward to saying that they all have everything to do with him. He has something to rule over. As he would just continue to try and lay into Midoriya, Jiro actually creating her own suit and charging in, smashing directly into Mongol's back as her suit would just shatter upon impact. Him turning around and smashing Jiro across the face, sending her flying away. That pissing Midoriya off, as he would just go back in and begin to try and fight with Mongol. He's creating his own constructs, bigger, stronger, and tougher, doing this over and over and over again, laying into and actually being able to keep pace with Mongol. As whenever Midoriya goes to throw out his next punch, Mongol just stops it with his fist, telling Midoriya that that was impressive, human. As he just crushes it in his hands, the construct just breaking and disappearing. As he throws out his other arm and grabs Midoriya by his, and just snaps it in two. Midoriya just screaming as his arm just got broken. throwing out his other hand and just letting loose all of his shame, as he tries to at least control Mongol. This guy has to be, well, disappointed in something. He has to try and feed off of that, feed off of his negative emotion. He doesn't like to do this, but if he needs to, he will. As Mongol would just state that he has nothing that he isn't proud of. He's conquered worlds, yes, and he's even made a deal with Darkseid. I bring both of you to him alive, or at least as much as I can. He will execute you too and give me access to have the Earth, proving that Darkseid cannot be stopped. This was our deal. As he would just throw his other arm and grab Midoriya by his face, telling him that he will honor that deal. However, child, how alive do you expect that to be? Midoriya is doing one thing, spitting out as much of this red toxin as he can, directly into Mongol's hand and arm. Mongol actually is being annoyed, and socking Midoriya into his guts, sending him flying away. Jiro got back up, as she begins to just shoot off constructs she has. Multiple guns and tanks, as much firepower as she can create. As the next missile that launches would smash directly into Mongol's arm, and actually send him flying into a building. As she would just load up another missile, and begin to fire it off. Then creating a giant school bus, and this hitting Mongol through more buildings, and just making him go flying. As he would just throw the school bus to the side, and it would just disappear. As he lands and gets back up, jumping upwards into the air. As he would just throw his hands over his head and come downwards, going to smash directly into Jiro. Midoriya jumping in the way and throwing up a construct of a giant shield. As soon as he throws this up, Mongol would just smash into it, and landing on it, nearly shattering it. As the shield turns red, and Midoriya tells Mongol that that's exactly what he wanted. Chains wrapping around Mongol as they come out of the shield. And just hold him steady. Midoriya trying more and more and creating a suit around Mongol's body. Out of intense emotion. Everything he can, all of his rage and willpower, along with his fear. Mongol just telling Midoriya that is quite impressive. However, I do have one question. You're Superman. Why do you think so highly of him? As Mongol would just bend his arms, and Midoriya, he would just be in complete shock. He's not supposed to do that. As Mongol would just throw everything in his body outwards, sending everyone flying with a powerful shockwave. Midoriya and Jiro getting sent flying as they go through buildings. As Mongol would go on stating that the Kryptonian was not the only one whose home planet inhabited a red star. That does not make him special. He was a conqueror. The Kryptonian was someone who wanted to protect. He had so much godlike power and abilities, yet he used it and wasted it on you. It is not right. Midoriya is just getting back up and saying he knows nothing about what's right. As he just begins to charge with green energy. Now, as soon as he begins to charge with it, he also begins to charge with rage. And his body just starts turning into energy. His hands glowing with it and along with his body. As he just runs forward, telling Mongol that if it means that he has to, he will take him down. They are not going back to Darkseid. As he just tosses his arm backwards and tosses it forwards, creating a giant construct directly on his arm, smashing into Mongol's face. As Mongol would just grab Midoriya by his chest and pick him up, smashing him into the ground over and over and over again. telling him that that is not what he meant. As he cocks his arm backwards and begins to smash Midoriya across his face. Over and over and over, before sending him flying through buildings. And Midoriya would just hit the ground. No. Mongol would then just jump upwards into the air and directly slam onto Midoriya's body, as he instead flying downwards into the ground, creating a giant crater. Now, he is left broken and bruised, Mongol picking him up again and telling him that's all he has. The Kryptonian would have put up a better fight. Sadly, their plan is already in motion. You cannot stop it. The planet will be mine. You and your beloved will die. As he just sends another punch in Midoriya's face and tosses him into the distance. Midoriya being sent flying and eventually smashing and being stuck into a wall. As he just lays there. Jiro coming back in and trying to fight against him, laying into him with as much power as she can, punching into him and trying to hit him, along with blasting with power. She is looking into his heart. There is nothing there. He loves what he does. There's no remorse. There's no compassion. What is this? This is actually annoying her. Her herself filling with rage, as her eyes begin to glow and her skin will begin to emit a red color. Running forwards, meaning the fight against him. Now, let's cut back over to Batman. He is having trouble. In fact, whatever is going on here, it is through the entire city. This entire city, underneath it and below it, was turned into an engine. Whatever it's going to do, it's going to send the Earth out of orbit around the star. And then, the planet is going to freeze. If he can't stop it, they're going to have to destroy it. Now, with that being said, Batman tries to get to work on taking it down, or at least disabling it, doing whatever he can. Let us get back over to Cyborg Superman, however. Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner are both laying into him, and holding their own against him. However, anytime they try and get close and attack him, he does rely on their own emotions. Him throwing around as much force as he can along with his heat vision, using everything he's got at his disposal. Cold breath, heat vision. He's even using X-ray vision to try and find people, just to put them into danger, so to get one of their attention away from the battle. As he sends Kyle Rayner flying with the next punch, breaking and shattering his jaw. Him being sent flying away. As he's basically just flying through the air before he does smash into the ground, and try to get back up. Hal Jordan turning his attention back to him, and continuing on his own battle, creating his own giant suit. As for the helmet, he would smash it into and try and contain Cyborg Superman, creating spikes on the inside of it and trying to impale him, trying to take him down. That not being enough, him breaking through and shattering the construct in a single punch, flying in and smashing Hal Jordan across his face, sending him flying away into the distance as he chases after him. The two going back and forth. Green Lantern trying to create anything he can to block the punches, while Cyborg Superman is just trying to blast into and kill him. Now, let's cut back over to Midoriya. He is still stuck in that wall, and his body won't move. He can't move it. Everything just feels broken. Everything feels fuzzy. As he just thinks to himself, move, please. I know you can. Just get up. You need to protect people. Come on. Damn it. His hand finally is twitching, and trying to break through the wall. As it would finally do so, as it breaks forwards, his hand would just drop, as it begins to bleed. And he hears a voice in the back of his mind. It's not Umbrax. It's his own. You know, I've been gone for quite a while. And when I come back, I find you. Umbrax is gone. It's quite a surprise. You forgot about me, though. You? Who are you? Oh, your deepest, darkest fears. Your deepest, darkest desires. Everything about you try and hide. You made me. Hello, brother. Good to see you again. However, you want to protect Jiro, don't you? You want to do everything you can to do so. How do you know that? Because I want to protect her. Because we need to. As his other hand begins to move, and it would just break through the wall. As his body would just begin to make constructs around it, and bust through the wall. As Midoriya's face would just look upwards, it gleaming with shame and rage. As his voice just begins, we must save her. Save the city. Only then will we kill Mongol. As Midoriya just flies off at unseen speeds, as he comes blasting back into the battle in a giant suit. Now, whenever he comes in, Mongol is currently trying to step into and smash Jiro's constructs. She's basically trying to protect people, protect civilians that got caught in the crossfire. As Midoriya would just say, "You haven't gotten rid of me!" Mongol confusedly would just turn his head. A giant fist just colliding and hitting into him, along with sending him flying into the distance, as Midoriya would just fly through and go to fight him, throwing his hands over his head and smashing them downwards, beginning to lay into and destroy quite a lot of things around the city, as they just begin to battle over and over and over again. Midoriya's body won't move. However, this darker version of himself is in control. Midoriya telling him to calm down and to give him back control, as he just begins to throw as much power as he can over and over and over again, telling Midoriya that he's only taking it over because he won't move. Besides, if I give you control again, you're going to feel something that you really don't want to. As he just sends his arm backwards and creates a giant rocket, the arm smashing forward at super speed, smashing into the ground and laying into Mongol. As he would just get back up, creating more constructs. Mongol is creating his own laser beams and his own military force, fighting against Midoriya and actually laying into him, as he would just jump upwards and smash directly in the chest of this construct, as he just starts to punch and lay into it. He throws 5 to 7 punches into it and it does not break, telling the boy that he is quite resistant. Now, throwing out his other punch and telling him to die, as he just smashes into the construct and tries to get Midoriya. Jiro coming flying in, grabbing Mongol by his back and lashing into him with spikes, stabbing directly into the back of his arms as he begins to somewhat scream, her pulling him backwards and away, as she flies in, telling Midoriya that he needs help, as she herself would start creating something on the thing, creating her own constructs and actually embedding them onto Midoriya's. The two fusing their powers together. They're literally just going fucking Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on this guy. I know. Anyways, they would just begin by creating more constructs. Jiro creating guns and artillery, trying to fight off Mongol's actual constructs, him trying to blast into and lay into them with more power. As one thing would happen, Mongol comes upwards and smashes directly into the construct as hard as he can, sending it flying straight up into the air. As he rushes in, and just punches into it as hard as he can, telling them all that he is going to kill them. He'll just bring Darkseid their heads. Now, Mongol, he would go to throw out another punch, as Midoriya would do one thing. He throws up his other arm, the one that is broken and battered, and immediately just moves it, as he begins to scream, sending a powerful blast directly into Mongol and sending him flying. As Midoriya hears words he never thought he would hear. Willpower at 5%. Recharge will be needed. Rage is also low. Now, his constructs are beginning to get weaker and weaker. He is already out of power. And that isn't good. As one thing would happen, he just begins to fall, his constructs stopping and his body giving out on him. As the rage inside of him, or the other Midoriya, just begins to say that he needs to hurry up and wake up. Come on! You want to protect her so bad, don't you? Get up! Get up, otherwise we both die! As the two would begin to fall, Jiro flying down after them and trying to catch them. As whenever that does happen, Mongol would come back in, smashing into her and sending her flying, as Midoriya would just hit the ground. His body broken, his rage and his power gone. He has been fighting for too long. His body has given out on him. Mongol is just too strong. Now, Mongol just walked back over straight to Midoriya, telling him that that will do. As he goes to pull out and create a construct, creating a knife. As he goes to stab it downwards directly in Midoriya's body, Jiro creating a construct around him out of rage. As Mongol just stab into it, the knife breaking into two, and Jiro just getting back up, telling Mongol that that is not going to work. You aren't taking him away from me. Throwing up her other hand, and creating another construct around him with love. Mongol just saying that that will be easy. As he just begins to throw as many punches into it as possible, shattering through the love construct and beginning to punch into the rage. Jiro creating another love construct. Him punching through it again. This just repeating. Until Jiro can't create another construct out of love. Mongol just beginning to punch into and lay into Jiro's constructs. As she just lays there holding up her hand. Her eyes coursing with rage as she just still keeps making this construct, reinforcing it and making sure it will not fall. Mongol's just doing one thing, putting his arm backwards as much as he can and sending it out forwards again and again, finally cracking into and breaking through the constructs. As Jiro's ring begins to start cracking and breaking. As soon as Mongol smashes the construct, this is when Jiro, her ring would break. Her red lantern ring. As she herself begins to feel the effects of not having a heart. Her blood in this toxin is returning back to normal. As she just begins to cry out and scream, out in pain. Midoriya just looking up. Finally awakening. As he sees Mongol in front of him. He then looks over and sees Jiro. That isn't good. As there's an explosion in the distance. It's blinding them. Now, that explosion was not good. In fact, it was quite bad. It was in the direction of Coast City. No. As Midoriya just looks back at Mongol, who just starts to walk away from him, thinking that Darkseid will have him once he's done. He will come for both of them. As he just takes off, wanting to see what happens. Now, Midoriya would at least try to move and try to get up, while seeing as Jiro just on the ground, writhing in pain and clawing away at her chest with one of her hands. Midoriya looking down to the ground and seeing her ring, broken into pieces. As he has one thought come across his mind. Red Lantern Ring. Yes, Izuku Midoriya. Transfer authorization to Kyoka Jiro. Authorization code. As you just say Alpha Priority. The ring saying that authorization granted. With this request being finalized, you will die. Are you willing to authorize this request? Authorization granted. As Midoriya's ring would just float upwards into the air, sliding off of his finger. As Midoriya himself would just feel the effects of this, and begin to scream out in pain. Now, the ring would make its way over to Jiro. As she's clawing away at her chest with one hand, the ring would slide onto her other one. As she just begins to take a deep breath, and gasping for air. Confused. As she just looks over to see Midoriya. His body is crushed by the rubble. As he basically just gives her a smile, before his face has twitched and turned to pain, as he himself begins to start screaming, trying to hold it in. This pain is unbearable. What is going on? As let us cut over to Coast City. And what is going on with Hal Jordan? Hal Jordan was the only survivor of that incident. As he just sits there, in disbelief at what happens. Coast City is nothing more than a smoking crater. The place he once called home, it is gone. Everyone he knew is gone. Even Batman is dead. He was at the center of that blast. He knows it. As Hal Jordan just falls to his knees and begins to cry, thinking he could have stopped all of this. He could have prevented it. He could have done whatever he could. He could have tried to help. Damn you, Superman! Now, let us cut to a couple hours later. Back in the Justice League Watchtower. Jiro has woken up. And she is bedridden. Being told that she is very lucky that she is alive. After the battle, well, it took a bit of time to find them. However, we have good news and bad news. The good news is that some of these injuries aren't completely, well, set in stone. They will take time to recover. So you're going to be off duty for quite a while. As Cyborg would just look down, saying, and for the bad news. As Joe just asked him exactly where is Midoriya. Cyborg just looking down, not saying a single word. As she would just enforce her statement once again, saying, where is Midoriya? Before Cyborg, he at least begins to tear up a bit. And he pulls up a monitor. It's showing what has happened on the news. Coast City destroyed. And the heroes and civilians who have died. The casualties. as it just begins to show pictures of all of them, along with it pausing for seconds, and stating that these three were the heroes that have responded, the members of the Justice League. You have Batman, who was said and believed to be in the city. You also do have Red Crimson and Kyle Rayner. Jiro confused, asking what does he mean? Well, these are only speculations, as the news lady would just say. However, Red Crimson's body was recovered, and is currently in possession of, and it would just stop. Jiro confused, asking what does he mean? His body? He's alive, isn't he? He can't be dead. As Cyborg would just say, sadly he is. In fact, well, you're lucky to have a guy like him, or even know a guy like him. As he would just hold up something and put it down in Jiro's hand, telling her that this was found directly next to her. Her just staring at these red shards, and bringing up her other hand and looking through them. This is her ring. Wait a minute, then who is... As she just asked the ring question. Whose ring are you? Current user and owner, Kayoko Jiro. Who was your former owner? Former owner, Izuku Midoriya. He authorized a exchange and relinquished control of the ring over to you. Her shocked, as she would just begin to cry. Now, with that being said, she is just crying over and over and over again. Her eyes fill with tears and she's not sure what to do or even say. He can't be dead. Before she finally looks up with rage in her eyes, along with love. As she just asks Cyborg that she needs to see it for herself. Last time, there wasn't a body. They said that they had a body. Cyborg just saying, okay, let's go. As he would just pick her up and move her into a wheelchair. Then beginning to walk through the watchtower. As he pushes her through it, quite a lot of heroes are stopped and are just lining the halls with their heads down. Her unsure what this even means. As they would arrive at the morgue, and she would just see his body. In shock and confused. As it's true. He's dead. That can't be right. Eventually, a service being held for Midoriya, and his body being buried. Quite a lot of people have showed up, along with him at least being hailed as a hero, for trying to stop this event. He was able to, as the report says, save and get quite a lot of people safe. Some of the people who escaped at least reported that they saw him, and he at least saved their lives. As there's a candle service for the heroes. And it is announced Red Crimson died as he lived, a hero. Eventually, everyone leaving, and there only being a few people left there. As Jiro basically just sits down on the ground and stares at the truth in front of her. She doesn't want to believe it, but it's just staring her right in the face. As she just begins to cry once more, looking at that name and what they wrote on his tombstone. Izuku Midoriya. Brandon writes, Red Crimson. The boy who was under control, then regained it back, taking his life back and using his power to become a hero. He was there at the Coast City incidents and died saving the life of his beloved, or saving the life of Burning Desire. Now, eventually, she would have had to leave, being pulled away by Inko and Hisashi, saying that if she does need to talk, they will be with her. As she would just do one thing. Her eyes would fill with rage and she would blast off into outer space, wanting answers, and going to seek his murderer. Now, with that being said, I believe I can leave this part off here. And I do hope you guys enjoyed.